Great, well, we'll start. And let's start standing, but I'm sitting on my stool just so you can see me more easily. And then, so let's go one shoulder at a time. Nice and easy. See if you can let your breath flow through your nose, and then going forwards. Allow your rib cage just to do that sort of up and circular movement. So you're really getting into all the musculature underneath the ribs. Good. And then place your hands on your heart center. And it's a little bit like you're doing a horizontal figure of 8. So just gently, or like you're canoeing down a river, gently taking your body on a journey. Good. Also checking with that breath. Let's see if you can go backwards. So that makes it a little bit trickier to do. Good. 9, 10. Bring it back into the center and just yawn the arms up over your head. Take a deep breath in. Spread your fingertips out. Circle your arms all the way around. And again, breathing in, deep breath. Breathing out, and then spread yourself out wide, filling up that space. See how much space in your room you can take up. Breathing in again. See how much you can allow your ribs to spread out and lift. And then drop. Last one, breathing in. And extend your spine, extend your arms, extend your ribs. Good. Clasp your hands, take them above your head. Let's just do the little halo circles. I'm going to shuffle back a wee bit. Little halo circles around your head. Good. And the other way. And then bring your hands slightly in front of your forehead and just take a dive to the side. Big breath into all the muscles around the ribs. And bring it back. And then the other side, breathing in deeply into the side. And bring it back. Nice. Go over, and as you go over, just see if you can really breathe into that kidney space between the base of the ribs and your hips. And then you can add a little yawny stretch out there. And bring it back. Breathing in through the nose over to the other side. Finding that space between, and if you want to put a hand on, between the base of the ribs and the hips. And stretch. Good. Lovely. And bring it back. And then let's add a circle. So you go over, nod the head forward, let the head roll around like a marble in a base, rolling around. Letting your head fall forwards as you circle. Getting into all of the upper back muscles, the muscles between the shoulder blades. And center, last one, over. And circle. And center, then just really stretch the arms up, part the fingertips and reach, and then ever so slowly bring the arms around, really feel all that space around you. I'm really aware of the space behind you, to the sides, above your head, down below your feet. Good, all the way down. Great. I'm going to stand. And then we'll just take it into, so place the hands on the belly and then step 1 foot forwards. And you're going to gently rock onto your front foot and rock onto the back foot. So I know you can't see my feet, but just see if you can just step forwards onto the front foot. Really feel through the foot. And step back, roll through the front foot, step forwards. And then become aware of, I've got my hands on my belly because I want you to experience the center of your gravity, which is in the pelvis, in the center of the pelvis. So you're bringing your center of gravity backwards and forwards, and then step onto your front foot and just pick up the other leg into the air and just start to bend and stretch. Now you might want to move your fingertips more to the hip bones, particularly the supporting hip. So with your supporting hip, you're looking at, try not to allow the hip to sink into the fingers, but drawing that hip away from your fingers and then bending and stretching. So you're really activating the side of the hip there. Keeping that kneecap directed right forwards, ideally between the big toe and the second toe. Couple of these. When you find your balance, then just start to reach that leg behind you. You can take the arms out into an airplane position. So you've got a couple of options here. So you can just go like this, down and up. Again, finding the balance, also engaging your focus. And then you could start to make a swimming action. So you could bring the arms forwards, bend even more, and then stretch and bring this knee up as you come around. So swimming. So it's a little bit of coordination as well. Really try and keep those hip bones pointing straight down at the floor and bring it in. Good. And I really have to focus my eyes when I'm doing this. I'm really thinking of connecting my foot, the sole of the foot, into the ground underneath me. Good, very nice. Have an awareness of what your lower abdominals are doing. So you're just gently lifting through the front body. And coming back. And see if you can do this with ease and focus and playfulness. So if you fall over, just start again, start where you are. It's always a good life quote. Start where you are. Yeah, exactly. And one more time, very last one. Reaching. And stretching. And then just bring it in, give yourself a little shake. You should have really felt that your foot was kind of really pressing into the ground on that supporting side, and that supporting leg was really getting a good workout. Let's start with the rocking on the other side. So wrap the hands onto the lower belly, just tune into your center, and then start to gently rock forwards and backwards. I'm liking this idea of doing a little bit of rocking to start to warm up. It's very calming for the nervous system. My babies like it. And okay, and then you're going to find that front foot, step onto it, float the other knee into the air, and then you could move your hands and just get a hold of that side hip. So just avoid letting that hip sink, drawing in away from the fingers. Try to keep both hip bones relatively level so you're not hitching. Yeah, and then you go for bending and stretching. Good. So we're just setting up really good alignment. Kneecaps pointing straight forwards. So over the second toe, between the big toe and the second toe. Good. And if that helps for balance, just feeling, yeah, exactly. Good. Nice long spines, easy breath, playful and easy. And then when you feel like it, you're going to stretch that leg out behind you. Roll that back hip forwards a little bit. It's always going to probably tend to want to point to the ceiling. See if you can roll it forwards and then start to bend and stretch here. And you can take those arms out into your aeroplane. Just feeling that floor. Try and stretch out the back leg. So you've got energy directing through it. And then you're going to add your swimming. So you're going to extend the arms out, extend the back leg out, and then swimming around. You might find, like me, I find this leg much harder. Yeah. I've had my surgery on this leg, and it's just way harder to really get all of the muscles working in the right coordination. Good. Reach. And probably half of it's psychological as well. And reaching. Good, very nice. Last one or two. And reach. Keep the breath, keep the focus. And in. Good. Well done. Give the legs a little hoo-hoo-hoo. Sonia, have you got a band?
Yes.
Good. Grab a band. So if you've got a band, and especially if you're watching this after, don't worry if you don't have one. You can absolutely do this without a band. You could also use weights instead, your little arm weights, of course. So let's get the legs over nice and wide. And go. If you've got multiple bands, go for a stronger one if you can. That's it. Nice long spine. Really ground the feet. Rotating open from the hips, and then just start to bend and rotate the arms open. So you're getting the pivoting of your arms inside the shoulder joints, and you're engaging the rotator cuff muscles at the backs of the shoulders. Squeeze and open. Good. Keep going. And lovely. And stretch. And 6. Stretch. And 7. And 8. And 9. Last one, 10. Good. Okay, great. Let's fold the band. And again, if you don't have the band, don't worry, you can just fold the arms, yeah? Bend the knees. Twisting to one side. So gently pull on the band. You just have a little bit of twist. And center. And rotate. And center. Feeling that long spine. And center. And rotate. And center. Good. Keep the knee bend. And keep breathing through the nose. Drop the shoulders. Last 2. Bend a little bit more if you can. Well done. 1. Stretch the arms over your head. Stretch, stretch, stretch. And bring them back. And then if you've got your band, you can just take a couple of big arm circles to stretch out the chest. And just give the pecs a nice stretch out. If you don't have a band, so do this a couple of times. If you don't have a band, you can always find a wall, pop a hand on, and just open out the chest that way. Just so you get a bit of opening through the pectorals, which always get tight. Right, good. Good. Once you've done that, let's take a couple of roll downs. Good. How are you doing there? Good. Lovely. Finish that last one off. Pop it down. Yeah, let's take a few roll downs. So come to the backs of your mats. Plant the feet underneath the hip bones. Really long spine. Draw the shoulders wide. And just bring your focus back in. Into the internal. Start to nod your chin to your chest. Slowly rolling down through your spine. I'm just going to mute actually, because I'm getting some feedback. Yeah. There. Okay, so as we go down, just really let the arms hang, really let your head hang as you go. And take a deep breath. And whilst you're there, just see if you can drop even more forwards over the toes, even more with the head, even more with the upper body, really dropping. And then can you let the shoulders do a little shimmy up and down like a rag doll? Good. And then can you let your head just do little rights and lefts? And then you might want to clasp the elbows and gently take a sway to one side. I'll face you so you can see a little bit better. And sway to the other side. Keep allowing your head to drop. Swaying, opening out again, and see if you can breathe into that lower rib space. It's really useful for the breathing system to open out that lower rib space. So really opening out all those muscles that can get tight. Making space for the diaphragm. Good. And then draw up the arms. Take a roll back up to stand. Nice and slowly. And just see if you can really find that neutral posture where you feel like almost you've got a red thread just going through the center of the spine, down into the ground, almost a meter below your feet and up above you, almost a meter above you. Yeah. And then with that in mind, just slowly roll back down through the spine. And as you go down this time, let's take a walk forwards with the hands along the mat into a downward dog. Plant yourself there and then just start to gently walk on the spot. Good. Lovely. Let's lower that. So just lengthening through the backs of the legs. And then rise up onto both toes and sink both heels down. Breathing in as you rise. And as you breathe out, can you find even more space in your spine? So don't worry if the heels are not touching the mat. And keep the knees don't need to be locked either, they can be bouncy. And now see if you can really take your tailbone and extend it up towards the ceiling. So you get that beautiful stretch down the backs of the legs. Good. And then bring yourself gently forwards over your fingertips. And just hold it here and take 5 long, deep breaths to your inner plank position. See if, as you breathe, you can really open out that lower rib space, so between the ribs and the hip bones, either side. Good, and then stretching up and back again. Reach, reach, reach. And then just gently bring yourself down onto all fours. Hands underneath the shoulders, knees underneath the hip bones, and take a few little circles around. Tiny tailbone circles. Allow that breath to be all fluid and gooey. And just directing it down, further down into the body, further into the body. Once you've done a few of those, just allow the ribs to do the same. Play a little bit. I'm just going to elevate this a wee bit. There we go. Just playing with any free movements you like of the ribs. Just see if you can get into anywhere that feels like it's not really had much movement. Maybe it's just this week in particular. Just see if you can play a little bit freely with that and play with bringing breath to it. Nice deep breaths. Nice and wriggly. Good. Moving the head. Lovely. Okay, and then take it into a few cats, so rounding the spine gently. Breathing in and reversing it. Opening, really creating space between the joints in your spine. And rounding. And reversing it. Lifting and opening. One more time, rounding. Deep breath in. And then just stretch out that spine. Let's take a couple of twists. So you're going to take the right arm to the ceiling, reach it up as much as you can, thread it slowly underneath. Really take your time with getting there, so you're not falling into this movement. It's really controlled. Breathing in. If you want to press down a little bit harder on your supporting hand, go for it. Big deep breath. And bring it back. Extend your arm out all the way along your mat. Dig the heel of the hand in. Don't let it move. And then you're reaching back and up through the hips. So you're getting that long line through the right side. And bring it back. Left hand, breathing in deeply. Stretching it to the ceiling. Threading the hand slowly underneath. Inhaling deeply here. And bring it back. Extend the arm all the way out. Leave the hand where it is. And just reach your hips up and back. Good. And center. Excellent. Let's do a little bit for the upper body. So walk the hands slightly further forwards. Rock your hips backwards. Bend the elbows. Now really ground through the fingertips. Gecko fingers. Sticky fingers. Bring your weight forwards all the way over to the tips of the fingers and then press it up. And just notice, this vest doesn't really work to show, just notice that as you're coming forwards, you've got a little lift from underneath your belly to support your lower back in this position. And stretch. Let's go for a few of these. Good, looking good. Drop the shoulders. Squeeze the elbows together. Really squeeze those elbows inwards. You're activating underneath those shoulder joints. Keep going. Let's go for 5 more of these. Squeezing. Of course, you can stop and rest at any point. And press. Good. Really good, especially for women. Keeping that bone strength, loading your upper body, loading your wrists, loading your shoulders is really very important. Good. And Keep going, keep going, keep going, keep going. And stretch one more time. And bend the elbows, squeeze them in. And press, good. Take a little sit back into a child pose for a moment. Let yourself just rest there for a second. And just see if you can allow yourself to drop into the ground. Taking a breath in through the nose. On the out breath, just allowing yourself to fall into the ground. Allowing the ground to carry your whole weight. And that's the weight of your body and the weight of your worries as well. 1 or 2 more breaths with each one. See if you can let it go even more. Good. Okay. So let's just do a little bit for stretching out those legs and getting the hips moving. So we'll take the knees open nice and wide and then just start with the circles. So bringing the hips all the way around in a big juicy circular movement. Just playing again. You can play with your ranges a little bit. You can keep it quite small or you can start to creep it bigger with each circle. Really, if you can get your bottom towards your heels, then go for it. And then when you're ready, just take it around in the opposite direction. All the way to the heels, all the way forwards. Oh, I've got a nice click. Good, last one. And then bring it back into the center. Bring your knees parallel and just, can you just stretch one leg out? And if I move forwards a little bit, stretch that leg out and just really press into, clicking all over the place today. Really push into that back leg. Press, 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 press. Good. And rock forwards. And again, push. And rock forwards. This is good for calf stretching also. Press and bring it in and switch legs. Extend that other leg out and just press into the Achilles, into the calf and rock forwards and press and rock and press and rock. Let's take 1 foot forwards. So just see if you can plant the foot down in line with your hand. And then make your lunge as big as you obviously go with not too much pressure on your hip. And again, gently rock forwards and gently rocking backwards. Just take your time, make it very, very smooth. So you're not forcing any of these movements. Nice. And just notice as you go forwards, it's more in the groin. You can even squeeze that knee open a little bit with the elbow. And as you rock backwards, it's more of that back leg stretching out. So I'm getting a stretch even here. Don't worry if you can't go very far. As long as you're getting a stretch, it's really not about what the position looks like. One more time, rocking forwards and rocking backwards. Good. And rock forwards, tuck the back toes underneath. And then you're going to really put weight through your supporting leg and then just see if you can take it into a downward dog with your leg up behind you. And then you're going to bring your weight forwards, knee to nose, and then reach it out behind you into a downward dog. Good. Knee to nose and reach. And 2 more, knee to nose, really hold it, really lift. Belly's lifting. 1 more, knee to nose and reach. And bring it down. Relax the knees for a second. Let's switch sides. You're going to bring the left foot forwards. And then just take it into the gentle rocks. Gently and smoothly. Rocking forwards. As you rock back, getting that long stretch through the back of your leg there. Good, and rocking forwards. And gently rocking back. And gently rocking forwards, nice and smooth. Very well done. And rocking back. Lovely, and then bring it forward. Tuck your back toe underneath, and then you're going to sweep that front leg right out and up behind you. Good. I know my camera angle's not great today. You're going to bring the knee right in and up, and then extend it out behind you. Keep going. I'm going to elevate it even more in. Good. Yes. Exactly. In, hold. Get that moment of really holding and see if you can lift even higher. And reach. And in, hold, 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 lift. And reach. One more. In and hold it. Knee to nose. And reach. And bring it down to the ground. Take a moment, go back to all fours. Let's take one more stretch into a child pose, letting your weight fall into the ground. And just take a few deep breaths. Now, this time as you breathe, if you can put your hands, find the base of the ribs on your back, take the heels of your hands and just pop them into the base of the ribs just below, and then spread the fingers downwards towards your tailbone. And just see if you can send your breath into your hands. So we're taking 4 or 5 deep breaths, and you should be able to feel those muscles in the back of the ribs opening. It's a really nice way to get into this back rib area. I can really feel it, whereas I tend to not be able to feel it very well otherwise. Can you really fill and expand those lower ribs? Get those breathing muscles nice and strong. Get that breath lung capacity nice and strong on those lower ribs. You can fill the lower lungs with air. Last one. Good, excellent, and let it go, let it go. Bring yourselves up, have a little sip of water. Let's spin around onto your back. So, if you have a ball, yeah, grab your ball. If you're not, don't worry. It is not entirely necessary. If you do have one, stick it between the knees. Yeah. Do you want to unmute? Oh, the camera angle. Good. Bring yourself down onto your back. Ah, excellent. Onto your back. So remember, if you don't have a ball, you can use a cushion and squeeze the cushion. Make it quite a nice, big, chunky cushion if possible. Plant those feet down. Pop your hands into your lower abdominals and just gently start to rock the pelvis into the mat and away from the mat. Gentle rocking motion again. And feeling again, this is the center of your gravity, in the center of the pelvis. A few more, connecting in with those deeper muscles. So as you rock into the mat, see if you can just gently squeeze, lift the pelvic floor and the lower abs and release away. You might want to gently squeeze the ball as you do that as well. A little bit of activation of the inner line of the legs, pelvic floor, deep abdominals, and release. And releasing. Easy breath through the nose. And then start to creep the tail off the floor. So you're going to a half bridge, really, really small, just the lower back up. And releasing down and taking the weight through your feet. So notice that your feet start to carry the weight of the pelvis. The pelvis becomes very light. And releasing down. And squeeze the ball. Gently hover that pelvis into the air. And release. One more, squeeze the ball, lifting through the internal muscles. Hover and release. Let's start to creep it up high. We can take the hands away this time. And just as you go up, do think about that pubic bone leading the way. So if you need to put a finger there, just to check where it is and really use that guide to squeeze up, find the glutes, activating. You will naturally be activating the right muscles if your pubic bone is going towards the ceiling, the ones we're focusing on working. Up to the brass strap, arms stretching over your heads, deep breath in, and they might go all the way to the floor, but you might find that pops your ribs out too much. If it does, then keep them hovering a little bit. You could even put something above they can rest on. Rolling slowly back down through the spine like spaghetti. And bring the arms forwards. Good. Regather. So just take a moment of total relax and then regather everything. Inner thighs, pelvic floor, lower abs, gluteals, hamstrings, finding the feet, letting the feet guide you up, arms lengthening over, and then melting your way down. Feel like you're a piece of spaghetti right now. Good. I want to say controlled spaghetti, but that doesn't really make sense. Al dente, rolling up. One more time like this, just really fluid, breathing in. Trust that all those muscles are now working. You've thought about them, they'll be working. Good. And glide those arms forward. Nice, let's have a few squeezes. So you're going to roll yourself back up, just checking with the pubic bone. Is the pubic bone squeezing up to the ceiling? Am I in a nice long ski slope position? If you've got a camera, you might be able to even have a look and see. And then you're going to squeeze that ball. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, good, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, and 10, 9, 8, squeezing 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Keep the squeeze, lower the bottom, allow the knees to slightly release. Now squeeze them back on glutes, hamstrings, inner thighs, everything. And drop and squeeze. 1 and 2. And I find it so useful to keep the hands on 3 because then I can really feel that, well, the position of the pelvis is tilting anteriorly, and then tilting posteriorly. 4, 5, keep breathing. 6, excellent. 7, now just checking with the chest. Is my chest nice and released? Be nice and soft and easy. 8, 9, 10. Roll your spine back down for a moment. Take the ball away or the cushion away. Give the knees a gentle hug. And I must remember to put on all the recordings in the chat where you can find the balls, but certainly Amazon sells them. They're just Pilates. What are they? Overballs. That's my fave. Okay, good. Hug one knee in and just stretch the other leg out. Really give a good squeeze and really extend through the long leg. Good. And then take a crook of your elbow and see if you can get that elbow around the knee. If you can't reach, don't worry, lower down and just roll the knee open to the side. So you're going external rotation. And now with your other hand, put it on your opposite hip and see if you can really plant that hip open. Got 2 hips opening. Breathing into that. Good. And roll it gently back. And then from there, hug underneath your hamstring, same leg, and gently extend that leg up towards the ceiling. So don't worry if it's not straight. As long as you're getting a stretch, that's what you're aiming for. Spread out the sole of your foot, spread out your toes. And of course, if you have a band and you prefer to use the band, then go for it. And then just circle your foot around a few times. Circle the ankle. And the other way, circling that ankle. Good. And then flex it one more time. Really flex that foot. Pull the heel to the ceiling. Pull your toes towards your face. Breathe into it. And release it and give that knee one more hug. And then one more reach to the side. And then planting the other hand on the opposite hip. And just really drawing that hip open as well. Good, and bring it back. Switch the knees over. Different leg, might feel different. Squeeze that knee in. Give it a good hug first. Really extend out through your supporting leg. It's like you're standing on the floor with your supporting leg. There's energy going through it. Excuse me. And then you're going to wrap the crook of your elbow around your kneecap. And then roll it. It's below the kneecap, actually. It's not on the kneecap. Roll it gently open. You might find one side feels much tighter or much looser than the other side. It's really normal. Bring a hand onto that supporting hip and just use it to anchor. And just go for getting a bit of a stretch through that groiny area. Inner thighs. Lovely, bring it in. And then just hold underneath the hamstring. Underneath the hamstring, underneath the thigh where your hamstring is. And then slowly unfold. Keep gently reaching up. Take a nice breath and see if you can give yourself a bit of a sigh. Always feels better. And then slowly take your ankle on a walk around. Lovely. Just circling the foot. And the other way, circling that foot. Good. Flex your foot, spread out your toes, spread out the heel to the ceiling. Reach, reach, reach. Take another deep breath and let it go. And then release, and one more opening to the side and anchoring with the opposite hand. And I'm holding with my hand this time so it's a little easier on this side. But you might want to get the elbow in, depending on how much range you've got. Good, brilliant. Bring it back in. Let's have the knees in the air. And if you've got your ball, actually, yeah, let's do with the ball underneath the lower back. I can wriggle a little this way. Okay. Yeah. And then half of the knees into the air. So, and if you haven't done lying on the ball, you'll feel it's much more wibbly wobbly than lying flat on the ground. So just go easy, connect with your center, then 2 legs, and then we're going to tap. So bring the hands into your belly. 4, 5, 6, 7. Very light and feather light with those legs. 10. Knees open, so you're in a diamond shape. 2, 3, 4. I quite like doing the same series of leg moves each time because it gives you a really good idea of where you're at with your center. You know, if you're feeling a little weaker or you're actually each week getting a little bit stronger, which is what we want, you're going to extend one leg away, changing the legs. 1, 2, and you can take the hands away, which also really puts a little bit more focus on your balance. 6, 7, 8, lovely. 9, bicycling for 10. 1, 2, see if you can really unfold the legs. Yeah, really open the backs of the legs. And reversing it. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. You're just drawing shapes in the air with your toes. 9, 10. Good. Very nice. Hug the knees again. And then plant the heels together. Open out the knees so you're in a diamond shaped position. And just see if you can stretch both legs up and out. And if you can also take the arms over your head and then bring them all the way around. Tap the kneecaps. And then reach. And if you find like me, you're sliding off the ball a bit, you might need to roll yourself a little bit further onto it. And then just start again. Breathing out and breathing in. And breathing out. Use the out breath to help you to engage your centers. So you might want to harness your out breath on the bit that's hard, which is this bit, going out. And then engage and breathing in to come back. Last 2. Breathing in. And when you're breathing out like that, you want to blow out the candles, all the candles, hundreds of candles. You got a nice strong breath. Okay, beautiful. Pop the feet down one at a time. If you're on the ball, you might just want to give yourself a bit of a hip stretch. So one knee in, and that will give you an extra hip flexor stretch. And then switch the legs. Stretch out that hip flexor. Good. And release it. Take your bottom off the ball. Let's bring the knees into the air. And then take the arms out to the sides in a T shape and just slowly, and let's have the knees kind of folded in first. So they're just a little bit more relaxed, folded in, a little bit less abs. And roll the knees slowly over to one side, head in the opposite direction, breathing in deeply. Breathing out, rolling the hips back, rolling the knees back. Same to the other side, breathing in. And breathing out. Lovely. Breathing in over. And I've got a creaky floorboard underneath me. I promise it's not my back. It's definitely my floor. I don't know if you can hear that. And bringing it back. Oh, funny. Knees forwards, feet forwards, hands going behind your head. And let's just add another rocking movement. So as you rock forwards into a sit-up, look between the knees and tap one foot down. And then just bring it in. You don't even need to go all the way flat to the mat. Just go a little way down. So it's really rocking and in. And rocking and in. And rocking. Good. And use that rocking actually. See if you can really curve even more through the upper back. If you're like me, you have a bit of a stiff kind of that spot there. There's a little stiff. You might even feel it stretching as you activate those abs. Yeah, good. And curve and in. Curve and in. Yeah, really go for a little bit more each time. And in. Curve and in with a twist to the knee that's up and center. Twist and center. Twist and center. Twist and center. Good. Keep breathing. Breathing out as you twist. Last couple. And center. And center. Just bring the knees in for a little moment. So we're just going to do the ones that we did on the ball. So you're going to curl forwards to the knees. The knees are pointing open. You're in a froggy position with the heels together. And now dart the hands over your head as your legs stretch away. Much more loaded, and bring it in. So if in doubt, keep the legs nice and high. And also you could just keep the hands and bend and stretch the legs and release in between. Yeah, that's a slightly lower load version. Yes, but double leg stretching. If you have any disc issues, you should not be doing this one, okay? Keep it much lower load, keep the feet on the floor. So let's just do a couple more. Reach and in and reach and one more for luck and reach and in and hug the knees. Give them a really good gentle hug and let the hips sway side to side. Lovely. And then just go for a little bit more proper activating hip rolls. So arms out, knees in the air, roll the legs over, and you could add here, so you're over. I won't demonstrate on this side, so kick the camera and come back. So you could, as you're doing this, add over and extend the top leg, so you're getting a bit more stretch, a bit more of that stretch through your underneath leg and center. Yes. And just continue this. On the next set, you might want to add 2 legs stretching. If you're adding 2 double legs, you really want to activate those abs to support your lower back. And bend the knees and bring it back. Always bringing yourself back with the idea that your abdominals are supporting your lower back as you roll back. One more to each side. Nice deep breathing. Deep but light and slow into those lower ribs. And center. Good. Hug the knees and just let the knees open and circle and open and circle. One more. Nice big opening and circling. Good. Okay, let's roll onto one side. Have a moment, have a sip of water. And we'll do a little bit of gluteals and a little bit of sides. Yeah. So let your head just rest. Make sure that your pelvis is set up really beautifully. Heels are in line with the bottom. So if you take a look down to where your bottom is, and then lift your heels in the air, they should be roughly in line with your bottom. And then either you can put them back down or you can keep them in the air. Squeeze the heel bones together and then squeeze that knee up towards the ceiling and down. If you're beginning to get really nice and strong with this, you might want to add a little bit of resistance. So either with your hand, add a bit of resistance. You have to be really certain about this. It really squeeze against your hand. It's like your hand and your leg are having a battle. Or you could add a band, which I will only show you for future reference, but keep going. You can always, I'm going to regret this. You can always add, make sure it's tied up nice and tightly, a squeezy band. And that will give you a really nice amount of resistance as well. So keep working against it. And find the gluteal with your fingertips. Just make sure it's really activating until you're feeling it. Yeah. Just checking with the upper body. Upper body's relaxed. You're going to do 10 little pulses. Squeeze and 2 and 3 and 4 and 5 and 6 and press and 8 and 9 and 10. Good. Release the knees. Take the top foot into the air and then roll the top knee to the ceiling and roll it back down. Roll the top knee to the ceiling and down. And 3. And this is much harder with the band. 4 and 5 and 6 and 7. Squeeze and 8. Be aware of your centers as well, everyone. So not allowing the centers to give too much. Also creating lots of space and length in that top waistline. 10. Okay, keep the knee lifted. Tap the foot in front and behind. In front and behind. Do not let that knee drop. 4. Yes. 5. Try and lift it even more. 7. 8. 9. 10. And let it go. Good, 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 good. I'm going to take off my band for a moment. And then you're just going to stretch that top leg towards the ceiling. And now lift it a little bit higher than the hip. Send it slightly behind you. And now turn your leg outwards. And you're going to draw circles. And if you need to put your top hand on the floor, do. But these are big kind of backwards, upwards circles. Also getting into the glutes. So back and up, back and up. 6, and really being aware of that center, really holding through your center. 9, could also add leg weights for this one. And 10, good, and reverse 1. And now see how much you can lift it. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, last 2, and 1. And yes, good, give it a little rub. Well done. Great, great stuff. And then grab a hold of that back, the top foot, and just stretch out your quad. Nice long quad stretch. Breathing. Being aware of also of your abdominals in this position, not letting the back hang. Really lifting through your center. Good. Let it go, let it go. Let me check the time. Okay. Let's go on to the second side straight away. Spin yourself around. So you could do it with the band, you could do it, I'll show without the band this time. Heels in line with the bottom, top hand on the top hip, just double check the pelvis, check the heels, are they in line with the back of the pelvis? Good, and then squeeze and open. That's it. And just checking in with the hip, is it staying relatively still? Yeah, very good, nice. And 5, and 6. Squeezing and just checking in with the fingers. So you can see my range is much bigger now. I'm not using the band just because I've got less resistance. 9, and 10. You might have resistance from the shape of your hip sockets as well. Drop the feet down, top foot into the air, and then rotate your thigh bone in your hip joint. 2, and down. 3, and down. 4, so you're just always working within your range, trying to just push the edges. Yeah. And 7, very nice. And good. Lovely, Sonia. And knee up, tapping the foot in front and behind. And 2, keep the knee lifting. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Good. Stretch the leg out. So keeping that top leg really long, really extended. Take it slightly backwards. Rotate your leg outwards. And then you're going to draw circles in the air from the top of the leg. Right from the top of the leg. So activate it. So every time that leg goes backwards and upwards, you'll feel, and then inwards, you'll feel the glutes switching on. And reversing it. 1, 2, 3, very nice. 4, 5, might start feeling heavy now. 6, if you can push through. 7, be aware of supporting from your centers. 8, 9, 10. Well done. Good. Well done. Give it a little rub and then grab a hold of your top foot, top ankle, and just take that knee back. Give the quads a stretch. Gently zip up through your abdominals. Good, 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 good. And then let it go, let it go. Okay, you're going to come onto your back and we'll do, you have a choice of 2 glute stretches. So you can either go for the more basic one. So you're going to pop the hands around the back of the thigh and give it a squeeze that way. Or you're going to cross your knees over, one on top of the other, and grab both ankles. Yeah, which is a little bit more piriformis actually. And more outer hips. I feel this one much more. And now, if you, even from this position, you might want to hug from this direction, from under the heels. See if you can lift those heels up, especially the underneath one, as your bottom and your lower back roll down towards the floor. Yeah, and then keep that breath. See how soft and gentle that breath can be. Can you direct it into the lower ribs? Do you feel a bit more space in the lower ribs? Good. And then just release. Switch sides. So you're either going to this one, crossing the knees all the way over, grabbing each ankle. So you might be there, you might be on your shins. It's okay. You might be on the heels. If you've got particularly flexible ankles, you want to avoid kind of bananaing the feet too much. Keep the ankles quite solid. That I would almost flex your feet slightly, and then that will give you a bit more purchase. And then you just pull upwards, especially that underneath foot. So my one is the furthest one away from the camera. Yeah. And then just take a moment there. If the shoulders get tired, just relax the elbows down. Take a few breaths through the nose. So this one's a bit of a preparation for the sitting one. So just then let that relax, let it go. Woo. Pop the feet down and then come up to sit. Let's get this up a little bit. So that was in preparation for the sitting version of it, which I love and hate it with equal measure. You're going to take the top knee and pop it over the underneath knee. So if you've got into this position and it's already a real struggle, then just hold on for a moment and we'll do a slightly different version. So you will have, I do need to put this down more. I don't know what's going on with my camera angles today. Okay, so you want to have the feet ideally, yes, in one long line, exactly. Nice, good. Take the hip bones and really just see if you can rock them and open it, almost take away the bottom mass and just, yeah, really plant the hip bones down. And then you might want to do a little lean over just to add a little bit of weight actually over the stretch. If this is too much for you, so otherwise stay where you are, but I'm just going to give an alternative. Otherwise, you can go for cross-legged, but try and have the knees quite in, not splayed out. It's not for the hips. This is more for the outer hips. And then just lean forwards, and you could either put your weight on a cushion, a bolster, you know, anything you've got really that you could just rest over. And that would give you a similar outer hip and deeper hip stretch as well. Yeah, I'm going to go back to the first one. Okay, and then if you're here and you're kind of content for a moment, we've already done a little bit of this, so you're going to take a side bend away from your top toward your top knee. That's it, toward the top knee. Yeah, good. And you can feel that this underneath hip will start to pull a little bit more on the underneath hip. And then just allow, you can even use your fingers just to kind of get in there and just let it soften down. That's it. Good. Well done. And then just as you come out of it, don't come fully out of it, just take that underneath leg and just plant it there, and then plant the top foot on the floor. And we'll just take a little twist. So you can just take the top arm, bring it across, back hand behind you, lift tall through the spine and gently rotate yourself. And give yourself a really nice upper body opening stretch. Take a breath, breathe into the ribs, breathe into your heart center. Good, and return. Slowly switch the legs over. This side might feel totally different. Starting afresh, so 2 knees ideally directly in the center of your body, one on top of the other, and then the feet as well quite far forward, so you won't really get a stretch if they're really, really far back. You might get a stretch, and if that's the case, that's fine, but try to have them as far forwards as you can, and then add a little bit of weight. Good. And then if you're cross-legged, then you can just switch the legs over slowly. Always trying to keep the focus quite internal, so you're allowing the external world to be there, but not allowing it to distract you. And bringing your focus in on your breath. Allowing your breath to be light, slow, and deep. And we can add a small side bend. Go over towards your top leg. Other hand can just wrap around that hip and just encourage it to relax. Often when you put a hand somewhere, it's actually very securing, it's very comforting for that bit of the body. So if you can just put a reassuring hand on your hip and just tell it it's okay, it's not going to fall off. We do carry an awful lot of tension in the hips. It's good to tell them sometimes they can have a little moment to relax. Good, very well done. And release. Good. Thank you, thank you, thank you. We're going to end there. I hope you enjoyed it and you'll come and join me next week. And I'm looking forward to it.